Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right. So the running conversation right now with the Lakers is Darvin Ham. I was listening to the Kareem report. He was going off for like 25 minutes about Darvin just not necessarily playing people correctly. And one of the things that stood out in regards to his statement was, excuse me, we often have players who are asked to do things that they cannot necessarily do very well. And in my opinion, it's one of those situations where it's like I don't necessarily, I don't know if I want to word it that way. It's more so just asking guys to be out of position, asking guys kind of do things that require them to be solid at stuff that they're not as good at. Like, for example, Kareem brought up Austin Reeves is not a point guard in his mind because he don't have a strong enough handle. In my mind, that's something that we've already talked about. How I want several of our guys to work on their handle, Austin being one of them. But they're guys on this team who, they're good at what they do, but ball handling isn't their strength. So if they get pressed, there could be some issues and things of that nature if we don't move the ball fast enough. So that's one thing. Obviously, one of the things that I talk about all the time from my perspective is just the rotations themselves and how he puts players in small ball situations, but we've since got rid of those players. Now, unfortunately for myself, I've only seen one real game with our players that we've just traded for because I missed last night's game. So I wasn't really able to really look at his rotations and judge it the proper way like I normally would be able to do. But, judging from what I saw from the first half of the season, that was my biggest gripe, is that he would choose to run with small ball talent instead of going with guys that gave us size, and then we would see it not work and we would stay with it and then repeat it over and over again until the trades were made, basically. And I just felt like we lost a lot of games because of it. Now, we didn't lose games only because of that. There were other contributing factors, obviously, but none more glaring to me than just size disadvantages and size mismatches and over fouling because of it and stuff like that. It was just like, okay, can we start trying something that doesn't involve this? That was all my thing. And so now that we got these players traded out, what I need to see is if his rotations have improved. Now I'm going by what others are saying, and it's, since these trades have been made, people have not been pleased with the rotations just the same. The first game that we played when we made those guys, we only had 9 guys in rotation, but I felt like the guys, he put those guys in rotation to the best of his ability, but I thought there were other things we could have did that gave us a better shot at winning. And that's just how I feel about most nights when it comes to his rotations. I just don't agree with him a lot of cases. But then I listen to him talk and I realize he's talking about stuff I'm not thinking about. So it's like, well, I mean, what can I say? He's a basketball coach and he knows the X's and O's, and I'm just a guy watching what it is that he does. But at the end of the day, I've been watching what it is that he does my whole life. So it's not like I'm new myself to watching, and I've seen it being done the right way a million times. And when I see it not done the right way, I know what that looks like because I've seen that a million times just the same. And that's one of the experiences of being a lifelong Laker fan. You've seen very, very serious extremes. Very, very good basketball teams. You've seen some awful basketball teams. And so when you have some traits of a bad basketball team when you have them, and that's exactly what the Lakers had to start this season with this coach and his rotations. Now, I understand the aspect of it that some may bring to the table. It's also a position that Kareem had to acknowledge, and I myself probably would be wise to acknowledge this just the same. Darvin Ham is a black coach, and there are going to be a lot of people who look at me, look at Kareem, and look at others with a certain side eye for not coming to his defense at all times. To those people, I say I cannot do that, man. I'm not good at lying. I'm not. I could try to support things for reasons that I truly believe in, but when it really comes down to it, I believe in holding all of us to the right standards, to the proper standards for what it is that we believe we can do, whether it be black folks, white folks, or anyone. We got to be able to hold them accountable for what it is that they say they can do when they're put on a pedestal to display that. And if they don't live up to the standards that they say, then we, as a part of the team in this particular situation, are going to have a problem with that because of the result of what it looks like and ultimately what our goal is, which is to win. So for me, I can come to his defense. It's just like Kareem said, I can come to his defense when it comes to matters of life, matters of his family, matters of even though as a basketball coach, when he's being successful, I want to see him succeed. So there are a lot of things we can support, but I don't think the best way to support somebody is to lie about what it is that you see just because of other circumstances that may be aligned with who you are. I don't think that's a proper way to display myself. I don't think that's a proper way to want others to display in regards to judging me. And so that's why I treat others the way I want to be treated. So I want to be held to the same standard, even though my psychology, those who know me close, know that I probably try to run from that accountability to a degree, or not necessarily run toward what would be otherwise others giving me opinions, which you could clearly see in how I operate in this channel. But at the end of the day, if my mind is right and I'm being held to the code that I believe in, then I just have to absorb that just the same, regardless of how I feel about it. And the fact of the matter is, it's important that we hold others accountable to a certain standard, especially if we see them striving for excellence and they fail to get it, because you want to see people succeed. At the end of the day, if people are striving to be successful and you see a way for them to be better, you expressing that is doing them a favor if you can express it constructively. And I think that's the best way to help my brothers, is to try to give them what it is that I see that we could work on, as well as what it is that I see that might be coming our way. And so if I see something that Darvin's doing that it doesn't look too good on the basketball floor, then as a basketball fan, I think that's okay to criticize it with a whole lot of passion. I didn't have a problem criticizing Frank Vogel on this camera repeatedly. I didn't have a problem, criticizing Luke Walton on this camera repeatedly. And so I would like to be treated the same way they would be treated if they were given praise and I was down there coaching the team. So from my perspective, criticizing them is the right way to treat them based on how I want to be treated when they're not playing well, or maybe not criticizing per se, but critiquing and pointing out things from my perspective while respecting that I'm not a professional or an expert at what it is that they do. So this, we're just fans rooting for success. And if for some reason what it is that he does leads to success, then we're sitting here singing his praises and talking about how he's a trailblazer for running small ball and for how unorthodox he approaches situations, and how somehow, despite all of it, we find victories. So, it's just about him understanding how to get to where he wants to go, just like any other person working on anything they're trying to do. And judging by how much people are willing to support him on the team and around the league, seems to me that he's in the right space to where he can learn from mistakes. People would be otherwise able to help him along the way and not continue to watch him fail. And so I expect for him to improve, just like I said last night. I don't think he's going to do some of these mistakes next year. Some of the stuff we've seen him do right now, I don't expect to see, because he's going to grow. He's going to learn from losses, just like any other rookie coach. He's going to pick up new stuff along the way. And as he does, he's going to incorporate it in what he does, and we're going to be a better team just for him improving, just like the young players improving. I'm not looking at Max Christie and saying, why you turning the ball over, why you ain't got your head up when you're dribbling. He's a rookie. Literally, he's a rookie. Of course, there's going to be things about his game that he's not going to have down just yet. And not to mention that he's not a first pick overall type of guy. So he's going to have to work around guys' mistakes, especially if they're new to what they do. The first day on the job is never easy for anybody in any situation. So that's kind of where we're at with Darvin Ham, man. He's a rookie. And to be honest with you, a lot of what we have in place is based on the noviceness of the people in place who have control of what it is that we got. Jeannie Buss just inherited the team not too long ago from her brother. Our GM, Rob Pelinka, is a rookie GM when he got here. It was his first GM job. So you got to take that into account when you're looking at just about everything on this Laker floor. Is everybody that's running stuff is new, man. They're new to what they do. And so that's also something that kind of escapes me when I'm critiquing them. It's like, Jeannie's a new owner. She, even though her father's been in control for a long time and her brother had control for a while as well, it doesn't mean that she came in and understood everything she needs to learn or how best to navigate or dominate the way we demand, right? But she's learned. We clearly see she's learned. And it wasn't misguided. I will say it like this. Her wanting superstars on the team was a misguided idea, but it wasn't because she didn't have the right idea about what it takes to win. It's just that the system itself has made it so that you can't win that way. They made it so that you cannot build with 4 and 5 stars. And so if you're ambitious and you think you could do it, you're going to try to get 3 stars together, and then you're going to find out how the system actually works against you when you build that way. So I think that was a big part of the problem. Darvin Ham came into a situation where we were built that way. And when a rookie coach is in situations like that, you're going to see mistakes. That Patrick Beverley situation. Now, some of the stuff that Darvin's done, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I think all of it's rookie mistakes. Some of that stuff, we're just going to have to see if it continues, if it's just straight to who he's going to be as a coach. Some coaches just aren't good, man. It just could be the first year of a bad coach's career. I don't know. But what we need to see is if he improves from some of the stuff that we think is bad. Some of the rotations, some of the instincts, some of the situational basketball decisions or neglect is not going to cut it. And so the question is how well can he be a student of his field and then incorporate it? How quickly can he incorporate what he learns? That's really what it comes down to. And of course, part of that, and I'm going to say this, and I think it's been said enough times in different ways, but part of that is the Lakers keeping the environment clear and easy to breathe in. I think it's very difficult for coaches to focus on the things that they need to focus on if their mental health is being tested by the people around them. And they have to be distracted to adjust to the personalities around them, and they can't necessarily incorporate their plans because of it. Maybe they have a harder time trying to get a guy to do something, and because of it, they have to take time to focus on that rather than what really should be, important. So for me, Darvin Ham needed a bigger coaching staff. I think that's where I'm at with it. I don't know how that works, and obviously you have to pay all those people. So I'm not saying that that's really the easiest investment for every team. But when you have a rookie coach and you have high demand on that coach to win a championship, as in a rise above everybody else, you got to make sure he has enough help for each and everything. And I don't know how that works as it pertains to hiring coaches midway through the season or bringing in specialty people to help with certain things. But if you're really trying to win a championship, then in my mind, you got to really get into the nitty gritty of what all needs to be done. And maybe there's no way to fix it. But if I could surmise maybe extra people helping him with clock management situations and rotations and things of that nature, if I could fathom such a thing, maybe he can incorporate that into his team. And if he can get some experts to advise him on some of these things, then we could cover our backsides in regards to having a rookie coach. See, and that's part of it. I say the same thing to the Brooklyn Nets in regards to having Steve Nash. As hindsight is 2020, but he needed more people around him who knew what they were doing. When we put Frank Vogel in this situation, we gave him Lionel Hollins and Jason Kidd. That's exactly what Darvin Ham needed. Even though it's probably not good for him to want to have to come in and have real head coaches, kind of hovering over you while you're trying to handle a rookie season. So I get how that could be a little problematic too. But when you see what happened throughout the course of the season and some of the mistakes he made with clock and stuff, as we already said, you understand that he just needed a Jason Kidd or a Lionel Hollins next to him to say, yo, no, we ain't doing that. Nah, you need to. I don't see that on this court. I look at Phil Handy, but I know he's like a drill coach. He's somebody who's going to work on their handles, stuff like that. He's not going to help them with that. And so it's like, I know that there's another coach next to him as well, but there needs to be more people there. I just think there needs to be maybe 3 or 4 more coaches on his staff to just help, man. Just tell him, a pointer, somebody who's looking at something else while he's looking at what he's looking at. Like, yo, hey, we got this. This is what I'm focusing on in regards to this team. And I know we got our focus here, but this is that little thing that I've been looking at for the last 3 hours. And I'm telling you, this is what's going to get us the key to the win. And it's like, yo, if we don't have those people in place, we're not serious about winning the championship. If we're leaving a rookie coach to make all the decisions, and he got like 2 or 3 coaches next to him, and they're all sitting there like, I don't know either. Like, what the hell? We're not going to get far, man. Not going to get far. And this is the things that we learn as we go along since we're new. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're stupid. We take this information, we incorporate it, keep pushing forward like everything else. But maybe we need to explore for next season, his sophomore season, how to put him in a position to have more help. Just like we want to give Bron more help, we got to give Darvin more help because he's new and the demand is high and the pressure is high because he's a Laker and all of that stuff is super, super stressful, and it's hard to be detail oriented and all of that while managing egos when that environment is weighing on you without enough help. So that's something I think Darvin needs. He needs that. I'm not saying that the guys next to him aren't doing enough or nothing like that. That's not what I'm aware of. I don't know of that at all. All I'm saying is they need more people. Just in general, more. If for his eyes and his eyes and his eyes, give me a couple more eyes. That's it. And so that's what I think is needed. And I hope they explore that. They got to do that. And so yeah, that's where my head kind of goes in regards to Darvin Ham for now. I think I guess I just gotta lay eyes on what is going on down there. That's a problem. Me not seeing the Portland game is really a big problem. All the games I could have missed, I didn't miss no other games this season but that one. But it was important to me because it is the second game where we got a chance to see the new people. How is he incorporating these guys against Portland, who I think is a better team than most of the field thinks, than most of the media thinks? I think Portland, after making that trade, is a legitimate top 4 team in the Western Conference, even though their record is not going to reflect that because they were already in too big of a hole to kind of show them that they have that record, just like us. We're a better team than our record because we've made those changes. I think they will be as well, significantly better. But the question is, how much better is the field because KD and Dallas and other teams, Sacramento, still around? You have to wonder if it's going to drown them out. Of course, Denver, Memphis. So Clippers. It's a deep West, but I just look at the Portland Trail Blazers and I look at the pieces they have in a nutshell, and I say they could defeat anybody if everybody's clicking. I just know it. I just know that. I can see it in their roster with some of the players that they have. If they all reach their highest peak, they're going to run over some teams that we don't expect to see them do that. And so I don't think that losing to them is something that you have to be ashamed of, especially if you don't have Bron out there. That's not something that you should expect to just do. And even more so going into the Rose Garden, it's harder to win there. I don't even know if they still call it that. They might call it the Moda Center now, but it's the Rose Garden. And it's hard to win there, man. So I'm not surprised to see the Lakers get blown out there when that team shoots like that. And plus, I don't remember the Blazers ever shooting like that. In all the years I've been watching the Blazers and every team they've ever put on the floor, I don't ever remember them shooting that well. Not against us. So you would probably lost to them no matter what. It would have been a tough night for Kobe and Shaq against the Blazers when they shooting that well, honestly. So I don't really care too much about that other than to say this is why you don't want to lose games like Indy, Philly, Boston, Charlotte, all them stupid games that we lost by one. The early Portland game, all them stupid games that we lost when we were just doing things stupid, or even more so in some ways, the scheduled losses, the ones where guys could have played but just didn't. The Denver game, when I know we just beat Denver with those same people we had on the floor, and we had to play them 2 weeks later and wanted to load manage because I guess they were just too good to play against. That was a horrible way to strategize that basketball game, in my opinion. We could have beat them guys because we had just beat them guys. And I'm telling you, it was the same people. When I say it was the same people were injured and playing were the same people were going to be lining out there. The only difference was we were on a different floor, and it was 2 weeks later. And my thing was, you're just punting this game without taking into account you literally beat those men. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, we don't do that. That ain't make no sense to me. That's not a scheduled loss. We need to play that one and just schedule the next one or whatever. So it's just stuff like that the Lakers have done. The New York situation worked out because we ended up winning the Knicks game, but I didn't like how we strategized that either. So it's just like, it's going to reflect in your record, and you're going to have games like this when you need to be winning games and you just ain't going to win because the other team got too damn hot. That's a loss you needed to be able to account for in this grand scheme of what it is that your schedule looked like. And you probably couldn't because you had given up other losses where you probably could have won. And that is where we're at. So that's prone to happen. And, Darvin Ham defended himself by saying that, his analytics people came up to him, I think, and told him that his perimeter defense was fantastic, that we were closing out on those guys as good as you can. They were just hitting shots. I saw that in some of the plays in the highlights, but I also saw situations where we were trailing like crazy. Like, the eye test tells me that we weren't contesting the three-point shot like that all game long. No, we were not. Maybe at the point that they were telling him that we were, but whatever he did after that, nah. So that's what I have to say about that. We have to improve our perimeter defense, and it's not about roster, other than to just shuffle the players around better and put them on the floor in ways that allow them to do that. And that's another thing. Darvin go understand real quick. Laker fans are going to have no patience now because it ain't about the roster. The Laker fans base in general, as a whole, we love the moves that were just made. I think most people believe in the roster. Now, do they think we have enough to win a championship? I don't think most people believe we're going to win a championship. But I do believe most people think we could beat the Blazers or beat certain teams, you know what I mean? We could beat teams, no doubt, if we run properly. And so the perimeter defense of whatever analytics were, we need to get back to whatever it was we were doing in that quarter. Because what I saw in the third and fourth quarters was guys having open shots. Some of them were open, others were contested, but it weren't guys that could actually contest those shots closing out. It was guys who were a little too short or guys who just were not quick enough, rather. Not quick enough, more so. So that's my thing. It's like, all right, man. I'm not having that. When I know Devon Reed is supposed to be a fantastic defender, I'm not having that. You put that designated defender down there, and you see what the hell he could do on a night like this. You know, and I know it's not that simple. We might be running zones. There's all different types of coverages that we could run that makes you switch out, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot. I care not, because I know we got enough people on this team that are switchable at this point. So I want to see better perimeter defense, especially if a team is shooting as well as Portland is. You got to run them off of that 3-point line. You can't even let them get into the move. You know, that's the thing. It's like you got to deny guys opportunities to even get certain shots off. You got to deny those things. You got to put players on the floor that make it so that they can't get the shots off. And I do believe we have enough talent in the defensive end. When I look at Troy Brown and Vanderbilt and Reed, we have those guys. You know, Christie, we have them. They will get out there. Obviously, Anthony. So it's not, no, the lineups that we need that could really clamp, they're down there. We got clampers. You know what I mean? We'll give up something on the offensive end, but we definitely ain't about to be giving up no 50% threes on 48 shots. Hell no. That's something that you can do something about. And so that's what I have to say, man. They can shoot really, really well, but not as well as they shot when you consider some of the players that were hitting shots. If Matisse Thybulle's hitting 4 shots and Trenton Watford's hitting 2, you know, I'm not really with that. That's where it goes left for me. How the hell they get 6 threes up? You know, so that's that. Without seeing the game, that just really glared to me. You know, I could live with Simons and Little, and you know, those guys shoot. Obviously, Dame is going to shoot 12 a game. You're going to see that. But you know, and if I didn't mention Simons, obviously 3-point shooters. So that's what I know. They have that as a strength of theirs. But not this damn strong. not this strong. You know what I'm saying? No, man, they ain't Golden State. They ain't Dallas back in the day. No. So that's where I have a problem. I just want to see our perimeter defense improve, and I know that we have the talent to do more, and we gotta practice some really good stuff so that we can implement it down the stretch of this season. Lonnie Walker, you know, and that's another thing. When we go for offense, we're gonna give up defense. That's it. So we're gonna have to respect that. They're gonna be guys down there who could fill it up for our team, but they're one-way guys. And that's one of the things that we've already mentioned when we made the trade. It's like, yo, I'm happy with the roster, but it's not perfect because not everybody's two-way. So if you're gonna put certain players on the floor in certain combinations, you're gonna have some situations that are just not gonna lean in your favor. So that's kind of the flaw of the roster even now. But that's no mind, you know, the guys are good enough to do what they need to do if you put them on the floor together properly. And so that's where it is. That's exactly what it is. So I don't have a problem with the roster at all. I just want to see our coach have some help putting a roster together, making sense of what he sees, and ultimately making in-game adjustments that he believes in that we can see works. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want you to betray your instincts as a coach just because fan bases are upset, but I do want you to understand when something's not working and you can get away from it and be better for it. Salute to Kobe Bennett, of course. But, you know, we got to make changes. Kobe made changes when it was necessary, you know. When he had to facilitate, he facilitated. When he had to lock down, he locked down. When he had to shoot more threes, he shot more threes. When he had to shoot more twos, you get the point. It was adjustments made, and that's what we needed to win, to find ourselves successful and getting the respect that we look for. So that's what it's about. You know, earning that respect out there and putting yourself in a position to not look as bad as we did against a Portland team that we know is pretty good. So Bron's foot injury, you know, I don't know if there's any more that I can add to that other than I wouldn't mind him sitting out this next game, but they said he's going to play it. So if he feels good enough to play it, let's go. You know, that last game, I saw him kind of pregame doing some moves with Phil Handy, trying to work on some things. But that doesn't necessarily mean a guy should be out there running back and forth, jumping up and down. You can do a couple steps and a couple shots, but it ain't the same. So that's what I wanted to say to everybody if they saw the same thing I did, as well as to myself. Just as I sit there watching it, like, man, could he really go tonight? Probably not, and it's probably wise we sit him, even though he's feeling good enough to shoot around. So that's just what I wanted to say. And Anthony Davis, a lot has been said about Anthony Davis not being into it and kind of being negative. Obviously, you've probably already heard he disconnected from his IG. I just think the man's going through something in his personal life, man. Life is happening. I'm telling you guys, I'm going through something serious right now, but I'm still managing to do what I have to do. And, that's okay. I mean, we all manage as we do. So I just want to send some support Anthony Davis' way. Let him know that the Laker Nation, a lot of us are not really sure how to look at you because of how the injuries have gone and all of that. Some people just don't know what to think. But when it comes to personal stuff and matters of feeling down or whatever, trust you me, man, you ain't alone on that. You are not alone on that. So let's just give each other some positivity and feed into what the game plan is. Be professional and just try to get through the year. You know what I mean? Because life is gonna hit us, and we just got to live with it. Or and this ain't gonna be very popular to Laker Nation, but depending on what it is, sometimes you just got to go away, man. Sometimes you got to take some time off, say F everybody, fuck you, excuse my language, but you got to go because for your life, for your mind, because at the end of the day, you got to be okay inside. You got to be okay with your surroundings, and if you're not at your best self, you will drag your team down. You will put yourself in a position to get, to neglect some things and maybe be injured again. These are the things that we just have to be real with. So I don't mind Anthony Davis missing the next game. I really don't. If he wants to take the game off, say he's load managing and just not be in the arena, instead be somewhere else so he could have some peace of mind, I don't see a reason for him not to be able to do that. A quick getaway weekend to an island or something for a guy like Anthony Davis could go a long way. Be gone for about 3 days, come back, be cool. Nobody even know nothing. Like, that's the kind of thing that I probably would do if I was in his mindset. If it was as bad as maybe I'm feeling, get away, man. Come back quick, though. Come back quick, but miss a game. Don't be in the arena. Take care of what you got to take care of. Get your head in a positive space or whatever. Do what you got to do. Throw money at something, whatever it has to be, to get back into a space where you want to be around the team and play ball and be at your best self. Because when you're not like that, the team is leaning on you to be so good and all this, and it just becomes a situation where people give you even more negative energy. It ain't even got to be like that. It ain't even got to be like that. You know what I mean? If people got to deal with their head to be their best, deal with your head. It's no different than having to do anything else to make sure that you are able to be prepared for a basketball game. So it's obvious to me that he's in a space that's not so positive, based on how he's looking these days. And so I think the best way forward with organizations in situations like these is supporting the player and making sure that their minds are healthy, because at the end of the day, they have to deal with pressure for you, and you want them to be able to be precise in those pressured moments. And if their minds and their hearts are all over the place, or if they're feeling pressure on top of pressure because you're applying pressure while they're going through what they're going through, they're less likely to hit the shot down the stretch unless they're wired like Kobe Bryant. And those things do lead to winning and losing and screening and boxing out and all those different things, because a guy has to be in a free-flowing mindset and not thinking about life hard or whatever it may be, in order to effectively be his best, in my opinion, depending on how he's wired. And I think most guys are not wired to thrive in those circumstances. So if a guy needs a leave of absence for whatever personal reason, a lot of times teams do support that quite a bit as long as they know what's going on. Sometimes even if they don't know what's going on, if you've communicated with them, they'll say, we got you, and that's it, depending on the relationship. So I don't know what Anthony Davis feels or if there's anything at all to be even in that ballpark or realm. But if there is, I think communication is the only way to go for teams and players. It's the only way to go. You tell them what you want them to know, but you do speak for sure. So yeah, man, just little thoughts on my head. Forgive the cuss word, just slipped out, man. Like I said, I'm really stressed. Like, I got it going on right now in that way, but at the same time, I just love what I do, so I find the outlet and get it done. But not everybody can do that. Sometimes it takes you away from your passions when you're stressed, and so you put yourself in a position to instead just not perform properly or whatever. So yeah, man, I think he's doing great on the defensive end. As I mentioned yesterday, I think he's still been a star and he's handling his business there. How it didn't translate to us being successful against Portland, I just didn't see the game. So, but at the end of the day, I thought throughout the whole time, even when he wasn't looking as good on the offensive end, he's been great defensively. So that's really what it was. When he had first gotten back from injury, he didn't have hardly any blocks. Now he's giving us 3 blocks just about every night. So it's like he's improving in the defensive end. Let's let him be. 20 boards last night. Y'all not feeling that? See, I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if I should be feeling that as much if he looked as poor as y'all said he did. But then I look at the stats and I say, well, how poor could he have looked with 20 boards, 3 blocks? So a lot of stuff is just like, I don't know. I just like, it would help a lot if I could have saw it, but it's a lot to look at for me from without seeing the game. So it is what it is. Bronze foot, AD. That's, Darvin Ham, Austin Reeves. Talked about Malik Beasley in the other video. Of course, I want to see him continue to shoot, but not to the detriment of the other shooting guards because there's too many of them, etc. You guys know about my opinion on that. That's pretty much where my head is, man. I'm really happy that the Lakers have made these changes. I'm really happy that we're in a space where at least we can say Darvin Ham doesn't have small ball players to choose from. D'Angelo Russell is a player I really like. I saw him down there talking to AD. From what I understand, all game long, they were talking about different things that they wanted to do in pick and roll situations and coverages like that, or what have you. And that is big. It's big. I think D'Lo is bringing something to this locker room, man. And I know people are looking at me like, what? Him? Yes, I think so. I think what it is that he's bringing to this locker room is a different level of poise from the guard position. It's a different flavor of attack to where, like Patrick Beverly was all over the place. Russell Westbrook, he got he's involved emotionally and he's going out there, he's feeling what he feels. But D'Angelo Russell's coming in like, okay, now that's not my spirit at all. What are we doing? Let's put ourselves in a position to be successful. This is where I like the ball. This is where you like the ball. Okay, what do you like to see me do here? All right, how can we do this? All right, I talked to my next teammate. Well, how y'all like the ball? Like that's just a different spirit, a different person with an entirely different approach that's going to help us win. And I'm very, very pleased with the way this is starting off for D'Angelo Russell. In fact, he's winning this thing with flying colors for me, man. I don't know. He's got an A for me. It's not in the stats necessarily. He's having solid statistical nights, but he's just doing all the little intangible things, all the help things, and his star power. He's easily deferring. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't see himself as some super duper dude that has to stand above the fray, but he does see himself he respects himself as a great basketball mind who can help lead a basketball team with leaders on it. So if that's the vibe that I'm getting from him, this is going to work out. It's going to work out pretty good because if he can do that and establish that and stay in that space with that type of respect, that's the difference between getting his money and not. In my humble opinion, that's going to be the difference. It's the maturity level and how much he can contribute to making it so that the team gels in a short amount of time as the leading guard on the squad, because that's what he's going to be. If we know what we're doing, he's definitely the leading guard. So, and him and Austin Reeves are going to share some of those duties as it pertains to Austin. Could be a shooting guard with that coach on the floor type of mindset. He can really contribute mentally to the game as well. That's what I respect most about Austin. So, and I look at him and I look at D'Angelo Russell, I'm like, our basketball IQ has increased just by that notion that we have players at that guard spot who can just settle in on the offensive end and really help us kind of navigate. I'm going to look to D'Lo to try to get Anthony Davis the ball. One of the things I loved about Russell is that he had no problem deferring and passing to Anthony Davis repeatedly and making sure Anthony Davis got involved. Even better than Bron, he makes sure that he gets the ball to Anthony Davis. And that is something that D'Lo's going to have to pick up and continue to run with if we're going to be successful. Especially when Anthony is not in his best mindset. We got to get him easy looks close to the basket and rhythm shots that he can hit as often as possible in the second half, particularly because that's when we've had such situations where we had trouble getting him the ball. So that needs to be understood fully by our guards, especially the new ones. Our second half is really, really intent on keeping him engaged because we know if he's doing what he does at the level that he's able to, in the second half of games, teams can't keep up. They got to damn near shoot the way Portland did to beat us if he's hot. So that's why we do it that way. But I want D'Angelo Russell to pick his spots. I want him to shoot the ball. I want him to feel real good about shooting the ball. And I want him to get away from shooting if he gets cold quick because we have other offensive talent that we must continue to go to. I know he can go 3 for 12, 3 for 13. Probably not the way to go on a Bron AD team. But if he has it going, pick teams apart with your ability to shoot, man. I know that you're a way higher level shooter than you've been able to display since Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Too many shots going to Anthony Edwards, too many shots going to Karl Towns and those guys. He didn't get a chance to really do it like that. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that much different here based on the fact that we have Anthony Davis and Bron, but I do believe he can give us a lot of what it is that we need as a point guard from his position. And we didn't need, we're not in a space where we need him to be even more mature because we do have Bron and AD, unlike the Timberwolves and whatever their situation was, what happened. So that's what it is, man. We're in a great space right now. Even though the loss came to us, because I didn't lay eyes on it, I'm still kind of optimistic about everything. And so I'm looking forward to the next game. We got the Pelicans coming up. Obviously, we know Zion will not be available. Not upset about that at all. B.I. is going to be out there, I'm sure, although I haven't paid attention to the Pelicans. We'll give you a pregame video on that, and I'll do more homework on that team if I'm able to, given the circumstances I'm going through right now. So it is what it is, man. I'm definitely going to sign out on this one. I appreciate everybody for watching BDF 44, and I'm out.